This time, I'm talking about the Chinese economy. Recently, Chinese authorities announced large-scale liquidity provisions, and the Chinese stock market has responded to this. First, I'd like you to see what the Chinese government has started doing recently. This has also been widely covered in Japan. Specifically, they announced a liquidity supply of 1 trillion and a reduction in lending rates. In simple terms, it's becoming easier to borrow money for those who need loans, and for banks, it's easier to lend. By injecting a large amount of funds into the economy, the goal is to revitalize it. Indeed, when the economy weakens, pumping money to stimulate economic activity is one conventional approach. As a result, it's expected that Chinese companies will benefit from this, and there's been significant buying in Chinese stocks. However, this may only be a temporary effect. Policies aimed at making borrowing easier only work if there are many people who want to borrow money to invest in equipment or start new businesses that will employ many people. If, instead, people borrow money just to invest and make quick profits, the real economy doesn't change. In such a case, we see phenomena like gold being bought up, and the rich getting richer, while ordinary people don't see any benefit. As a result, consumption remains stagnant. I don't think this will change the current situation in China. Those making huge profits by investing in stocks are already wealthy, so even if they become richer, it won't lead to a recovery in consumption. The wealthy already have everything they want. Unless the general population becomes wealthier and can afford to buy more things, the economy won't pick up. So, I believe this policy won't have much of an impact. Now, here's the main topic of today's discussion. It has become clear that many Chinese corporations are now in a hot potato situation. Let me explain what's happening. There's a giant company in China called Shanghai Holdings, headquartered in Guangzhou near Shanghai, not the other Guangzhou in the south. This month, in September, executives from Shanghai Holdings suddenly went missing, and Chinese authorities sealed off their headquarters. Many creditors gathered in front of the company, but it was deserted. This could have a significant impact, including on listed companies in China. So, what did this massive company do? They sold financial products called gold wealth management products. Essentially, they gathered money from investors and bought gold with it, which they then lent to other companies. The companies borrowing the gold would pay interest, which Shanghai Holdings would distribute to investors, taking a fee for themselves. They collected a vast amount of money through this scheme, including from listed companies, private funds, and many individuals. For short-term investments of 30 days, they offered an annual return of 5.2%, and for longer-term investments of 360 days, they promised 7.3%. In the current Chinese market, these are incredibly high returns. Because of this, many individual investors, including some who entrusted their entire savings or retirement funds, invested in these products, believing in the safety of such a large company. However, the real issue lies in the fact that this wasn't just individual investors. Large companies, including listed ones, also invested, lured by the high returns. The total amount of money Shanghai Holdings managed reached the level of a mid-sized Chinese bank, reportedly around 600 billion yuan, about 6 trillion yen. The company's financial products were likely a Ponzi scheme. The company promised to generate profits through gold lending, but in reality, they were just redistributing the money from new investors to pay off earlier ones. The involvement of influential Chinese government figures is suspected, as such a massive fraud couldn't have continued without political connections. Authorities have started investigating, and it's possible that this scandal will also expose high-ranking officials within the Chinese Communist Party. This event will likely have a broader negative impact on the Chinese economy, given the scale of Shanghai Holdings' operations and its ties to many listed companies and funds. Finally, I'd like to return to the topic of Chinese stocks. Recently, Chinese stocks have been bought up due to the government's large liquidity injections. However, many companies are not making money through actual business activities but by investing in these kinds of financial products. If they lose money from this, it could lead to further corporate bankruptcies. Even though the Chinese stock market is currently rising, this situation is precarious, and I believe the stock market may soon decline again.